Hello guys, welcome to Good Do Micro Projects. Kindly check this application out. When I click the add button, it increases the numbers. When I click this subtract button, it decreases the numbers, but it doesn't go beyond 1, so it ends at 1. You can see that. Good. Now in this application, in this video, we are going to develop this using HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, React Hooks, and Redux. If you want to type along with me, kindly install the following: Redux, 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 good. Then Redux DevTools extension. Good. Using npm install, install blah blah blah. So likewise, npm install Redux, npm install React Redux, npm install Redux DevTools extension. So that's that. So it's all said and done. Let's begin. Thank you very much. Let's begin by creating 3 folders in our SRC folder. So first one, we say call it assets. And the next one, create another folder and call it components. Then we create another one and call it Redux. Now in our asset folder, let's create another folder called images. Okay, good. Now we need 2 images. We need minus and plus. I went to the internet and got some images, and I'd like to share with you. Counter image, good. Yeah, these are the images I got from the internet. So we copy them to our image folder in the assets folder using the backdoor. Okay, so copy. I go to allocate my project folder. Okay, so I'm going to my project folder. Good. SRC assets images, and I paste them here. Good. So our images are ready. The minus PNG and the plus PNG are ready. So that is that for the assets folder. Now let's go to the components folder. In the components folder, we create another folder and call it counter. In the counter folder, let's create a file and call it counter.js. Great. So we are ready to go now. Now, instead of just ordinary div, why don't we make it React fragment? We say React.fragment. Okay. Now in it, what do? Let's create hello h1 tag and create hello. Good. Now to check that on the screen, let's link it to the app.js. So we go and say counter. Good. It has been imported for us nicely. So let's go to our browser and check it out. Great. We have our hello on the screen. It means we are good to go. So let's go to the counter.js then begin our project. Now let's look at the structure of our project. Let's go to paint. And let's look at this. Now in this project, we want to get an header. Okay, then we do create 3 boxes. Okay, 3 boxes like this. Good. Name them 1, 2, and 3. Now with the page setup, this is the page. Okay, we have, this is one row. Okay, all this is one row. So this is one, we have 12 columns. Okay, the page is in Bootstrap, the page is divided into 12 columns. So what we're going to do is we take the first 3 and we make it empty so that we can have access to the next one, which is 6 that we're going to use. I want us to work in the 6, so that we can have 3, 6, 3. So together makes 12. So let's do that. So over here, we say we create a div, then we say give the class name, then we call it row. Okay, so in our row we create a div again, create a div and call it, give the class name and call it call md3. Yeah, the 3 after. So let's create another md6 just by copying it, making it 6. So we have that too, as you can see, 6. So now we are going to work in the 6. So what do we do in the 6? Let's create a card. Okay, so we'll create a div and give it a class name and call it card. In the card, what do we want? The header and a body. So let's do that. We want a div, give the class name and call it card header. So just copy the same thing, then give it a name body. So let's take the first one, the header. Now header, what do we want? We want an h2 tag. Okay, h2 tag with a class name, font weight bold. Then inside it we say counter app. Great. So that is that for the the header. Now let's go to the body. On the body, let's create 3 boxes as we said. So to do that, we create a div, but then give it a class name, call it box. So in our box, let's copy that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Good. Now let's label them 1, 2, and 3. Now we are calling it box, meaning we have to create the height and width of the box. So let's go to our CSS and we say box should be given a width of 150 pixels, then a height of 120 pixels, then border. Okay, we need some border. Good. We need 5 tick, then we need it double, then black. Good. Now let's check our browser to see how application is doing so far. Great, we have our boxes ready. Now it's in vertical, so we want it what? Horizontal. Okay, then some padding, there's some margins rather to it. So let's go and do it that. So we go there, then we say deflex, deflex. flex. It's going to change it to horizontal. Then we say justify content center to make it centered. Okay, so let's check it out again and see how it's doing. Great. Now let's add some margins to it and center the header too. So in our margin, we say give it a horizontal margin of mx 4. Okay, let's do likewise for all. So we say mx 4 mx 4. Then we center the corner app. We say test center. Great. Now let's check it. Our browser can see how things are doing. Great. This is exactly what we want. Now to continue, we need to take the box off and import our image. Take the box off for 1 and 3. Take the boxes off and import our image over there. So let's do that. So over here, 1, take the box off, and 3, we take the box off. Then in 1 we import our image. So we take it off, import our image. We call the image tag img src equals, say minus, give an alt name, also called minus. Then give it the width. Let's give it a width of 100 and a height of 80. Okay, and now we close our tab. Good. Now we copy the same thing to the class. So here 3, and we can copy the same thing here, and we change it to the class. Okay, class. And we go import them from the asset folder. So we say import minus from asset folder, then images, then minus dot png. Good. Now let's do likewise for plus. So just copy, then we paste, change it for plus. So we say plus here to plus. So that is that. Now let's check our browser to see how the images are doing. Great, doing good. Let's create a margin tab for the images and create a span tag to handle the number that we put in. So we'll do that. Margin tab for our images. So we say empty 3, next image empty 3. Good. Next, let's create a span tag to handle the number. So we say span, let's give it 10. Now in the 10, let's go to the CSS to handle the number. So we say span, font size should be 60 pixels. Then font weight should be 700. So now let's go to the browser again to check how things are going. Great improvement. Now the only issue is we centered the 10, then we add some background colors to it. So let's do that. Go to there and get the 10. Good. Let's say right here we say text center. Good. Now with the background color, let's start with the body and the header. So let's go to the header and give it some custom name. So we say header color. Good. So let's go do that. So we start to the body. Now with the body we say you should give it a background color of E4 E3. Good. Now let's header color with a period. Good. So the header color we say background color. Give it a background color of U5 to 6AD. Good. Then a text color. Color of white smoke. Good. So that's with the color. Now let's look at our application to see how things are going. Great. I don't know why. Our background color has an issue. So let's go check it out. Header color. Good. Header color. Oh, sorry, I did it at the wrong place. Header color should be at the div, not the tag. Okay. So we cut it and take it to the div. Where we say good header color. So let's go back and check it. Great. Everything looks good. Now what is left is a click effect that we need to give to the images. So to do that, let's go add a class name to the images and call it click effect. So we say class name equals click effect. Good. Let's copy the same class to the minus. So over here, same thing here. So we go to our CSS to style it. We say that click effect. Click effects column active. Very good. Now when it's called, it should transform and translate Y to pixels so it can go up and down. So let's check it out. Good. Great. Now we can see our click effect is working. Very good. Now let's create some margin tab, and then we should be ready to go to Redux. So at our row we say empty 5. Let's check it out again. Good. Yeah, so that is that for the component. So the next thing we need to do now is to go to the Redux and set it up. So in our Redux folder, let's create a file called store. Then we create another file called root reducer. Okay. Yes, good. Then in the same folder, let's create another folder and call it counter Redux. Now in the counter Redux, let's create a file and call it counter.action types. Good. In the same folder, let's create another file and call it counter.actions. The same folder again, let's create another file and call it counter.reducer. Good. So to begin with, let's start with the action type. Talk about the two actions that we're going to use in our counter, which is increase and decrease. So we say export const increase counter, which equals to the same name we just copy. So we have here. So now we copy everything and change it for decrease counter. So we say decrease counter. So next we go to our actions, counter actions. Now in our actions, first let's import our action types. So we say import increase counter. Let's put on so import increase counter decrease counter from action types. Then we say let increase counter equal to a function that will return type and a payload. Then type go increase counter, comma, payload increase. Now let's copy and do likewise for decrease counter. So we say here decrease counter, and then here decrease counter, and then here decrease. So that is that. Let's export. So export increase counter, comma, decrease counter. So that is that for our actions. Next is the counter dot reducer. So let's go there. Now first is to import our action types. We did it in actions already, so let's go copy from action types. Good. And bring it to the reducer. So we say paste. Yeah. So this next we create a feature key. We say export const counter key equals counter store. Good. So from here we can create our initial state. So we select initial state equal to count 10. Then we can create our let counter reducer equal to function. Good. And we can say the state is equal to initial state actions. So action. Good. So from there, let's type payload equal to action. To create our switch statement, say switch to bracket type where case is increase counter, then return count sorry state dot count plus 1. So we'll do likewise for decrease counter. So here copy and paste. So here when the case is decrease counter, we say count minus state dot count minus 1. Okay. So next is our default case. So we say default. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So next we say default. Default case should return state. So now let's export our counter reducer. So we say export counter reducer. Good. So that is that for the counter reducer. So next is the root reducer. So let's go to our root reducer. So in our root reducer, first thing to do, let's import our counter reducer and our feature key, which we call counter key from good from counter reducer. Okay, from our counter reducer. Good. So next is to import combine reducers. Combine reducers. Got it from Redux. Redux. Okay. The next, we can say that let root reducer equal to combine root reducers counter store given the value counter reducer. Great. So that for the root reducer. So let's configure the store. Good. In our store, the first thing is to import root reducer. Okay. Import root reducer from root reducer. Then we import create store from Redux. Then we also import compose with DevTools from Redux DevTools extension. So finally we can say let store equal to create store bracket root reducer comma compose DevTools function. So finally we can export our store. Good. Now our store is ready. Let's go link it to the app.js so that components can get access to it. So the first thing is to import store from Redux, then store. The next is to import provider, okay, from React Redux. So we can now configure our store by saying provider. Okay, we'll copy the provider to the bottom. Good. So we have provider around it. Then we say store equals store. So that is that with the store. Now let's check our application to see if there's any error. Now it says root reducer is not exported from root reducer. So let's go to root reducer and check it. Oh yes, we didn't export it. So let's say export root reducer. Good. Now let's go back to a browser to see if there's any other error. Great, our application is working, no error. It means our data is ready in the store. So let's go check it. Let's go to the store. Good. So go to the store. Check our state. You can see our chart view, you can see our row view. So we can see counter store is giving a value count 10. So we have 10 in the store. So the next thing is that we need to do here is to link the store to the component using dispatch hook and use selector hook. So let's do that. So we go to our component, great. In our component, first thing to do is to import our use dispatch and use selector. We say import use dispatch use selector from React Redux. Good. Now what we do? We use the use dispatch to dispatch data from the store to a component. Then we use the use selector to view data from the store. So let's first start by viewing our data from the store. So we say view data from store. Okay, we say let view counter equal to use selector, which returns a function. We say good state. Then we can say that should return state, then the counter. Sorry, let's spell it's calculator. Counter key. Good. So our counter key has been imported too. Good. So that should help us view our data. So how do we view it? Let's go to our span tag. Instead of hard coding it, let's make it dynamic. So we say over here view counter dot count. So that is that. So let's check if it's complaining in the browser. Great. No error. We still have our 10, so we're good to go. So let's go to now dispatch our increase button, increase function and decrease function. So to do that, let's give click events to our images. So let's call one on click. We should call it increase. Sorry, decrease. This is minus, so this is decrease. Sorry, decrease. Decrease button. Okay, decrease button, and do likewise for increase button. So we say on click should equal to increase button. So let's create a function for decrease button and increase button. So we go tab, call our dispatch. We say let's dispatch equal to use dispatch. Good. So from here we can say let's increase button equal to a function. So we'll say dispatch what? Increase counter. Okay, because that's the action. Increase counter. Okay. Good. So we'll do likewise for decrease button. So we'll say decrease button should dispatch decrease counter. Okay. So that is that for the increase counter and the decrease counter. So let's check our application again to see how things are doing. Yeah. Good. Our application is decreasing and application is what? Increasing. Very good. Now there's another issue here. It's going to negatives. Now we want to avoid that. So how do we do that? We go to our counter reducer. Then we create a function. We create an if statement so that it doesn't go to the negative when it is decreasing. So we say state.count minus 1 is greater than 0. What do you do? Let's put that in bracket. If it's greater than 0, then state.count minus 1. Otherwise, 1. Okay, so this will help stop the reduction into negatives. So let's check it out. Good. Yeah, you can see that it's no more going into negatives anymore. Addition is working. The negatives only ends at 1. Great. So application is ready to go. Thank you very much for sticking through, and don't forget to do good. Bye-bye.